So I'm sure you've heard of the Great Depression.
Heard
Not
of it.
motive.
I've had it.
But have you heard of the Silent Depression?
Yep.
And I'm not talking about you being depressed and not talking to people.
I know. It's when you listen to The Cure
Yeah,
and lie in bed and cry.
exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah. But it's funny. Well, it's not funny. It's more sad. But how, like 100 years ago? Well, not 100, but 90 years ago.
Well, you're kind of hungry.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is actually. It is.
20s.
Yeah. We had the Depression, and we consider it the biggest economy failure of all time. But people fail to realize that we're living in the Depression 2.0.
Yeah.
Like, when the Depression hit, the prices went, like, so up that people couldn't afford a house in the, like, if they work now, they wouldn't be able to afford it in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But what's happening today is far worse. During the Depression, you could buy 8 Big Macs with a daily salary. Now, you can only buy 2.
Yep.
Like, how is that not being talked about? Well, it is, but not nearly enough. And the funniest thing is when the boomer generation comes over and they're like, oh, well, you guys just don't work hard enough. No. You, as someone who has worked for 40, 30 years, whatever, with today's salary, you can't buy another house.
Yeah.
You live in a house that you bought like 30 years ago.
You know, speaking about that, there's this interesting Reddit post that I saw a while ago. Basically, a person from the boomer generation was talking about how actually hit him, how bad the economy is nowadays. He was recollecting a discussion he had with a younger colleague of his. Basically, the job he was working at, he'd been working there for 40 odd years, around 40 years. And a few years, before the story's start point, a colleague comes at work, basically same position, basically the same pay he receives, and they're discussing how nowadays his colleague can barely pay off his car's insurance, and he can't even dream of owning a house, like with the current pay, which is weird because the person from the boomer generation not only bought a house, he bought multiple vehicles, and he could take his family on vacation multiple times a year. He could do whatever he wants with the same job and the same pay. Nowadays, that's just impossible.
I mean, the thing is, like, of course we had the COVID epidemic. We had... Pandemic, sorry. We have Ukraine and Russia, whatever is going on. We have a lot of things that affect the economy.
Yeah.
That's, like, you can't say that that's not happening. But if you think about it, it was far worse 100 years ago. Because the world came, like, the Depression came after the biggest war at that time.
Yeah.
The Great War, the First World War. And people were...
And the Spanish flu.
True.
Which coincidentally hit at the same time.
True. But people were still able to afford much more during the Depression. And it's sad nowadays how most people don't understand that we are actually living in the... Well, it's not the same scenario, it's far worse. But there are still people who tell you that you're not working hard enough, that you're not trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's really rare to have one job and to do all the things you want. Like, if you have one job, most of that, like, most of the salary goes to paying rent, goes to groceries, bills. And what's weird to me is that banks nowadays, knowing that having a job is not enough to give you a loan to buy a house, they deny you to like, say, let's say in the West, you should pay around $900 a month to buy a house.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
They're gonna deny you that, and you're gonna be like, oh no, you should just pay $1,200 for rent.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not revolting to the people?
Yeah.
That's what bothers me.
It is.
Is it though? If only people are talking to about this on the internet, it's not revolting enough. No one's taking action about it. Right?
Yeah, no, yeah. But see, the thing is, even if it is revolting, doesn't necessarily mean that people take action about it, which is even sadder when you think about it. Because people are aware, like, people are constantly aware that of what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's very unique nowadays how complacent we've become. Like, the old adage goes, you know, with Britain Games, when Rome was falling apart, that Britain Games was a daily occurrence.
Mhm.
The thing is, nowadays, Britain Games are just so much more prevalent. Like, before, you had, like, one type of rye bread, and you had chariot races or what have you. And nowadays, you have, like, 100 different types of bread and 100 different types of races and games and what have you.
Yeah.
So, it's not that we're not revolted, it's that we're too preoccupied. Preoccupied with our bread and games. Like, at the end of the day, that's the reality.
I mean, I agree to a point, but if you look at historically, what happened after the Russian-Japanese War?
Which one?
The last one. Not World War II. Not World War II.
Okay.
The people were fed up with the king, with the Tsar.
Yeah.
So what did they do? They started a revolution. And of course, it wasn't all, honey and milk.
Yeah.
But
But see, the thing is, Russia didn't have Britain Games. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Russia didn't have a policy of Britain Games. They have an Iron Hand policy. We're like, okay, you're gonna rebel. Off to Siberia you go.
well, that was a bit later, but sure.
It doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make it, when you're heavy-handed, usually you get a revolution.
Yeah.
If you also employ Britain Games with whatever policy you employ, you're not gonna get a revolution because people will be too preoccupied. Like, trying to convince someone who has plans for like certain activity, it doesn't have to be even something special. It has to just give them a slight dopamine rush.
I mean,
To do
fair.
something that's uncomfortable.
Fair. Even though I agree to
Yeah.
a point, my view is that nowadays we've become complicit because most of the people support a party. And today, economics, they're just. They change based on the party, but they don't change.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, in the United States, you have the Democrats and the Republicans, right?
Yeah.
We had Trump, who was the Republican.
Yeah.
Now we have Joe Biden, who's the Democrat. And what do?
Fuck all.
They blame the failure on the other party.
Yeah.
They don't blame themselves. Here, we have multiple parties, but
Yeah.
we had two parties that, have been in power for the most time. What do people do here? They blame each other. They don't blame themselves. And I think that it's the problem we have is that we do notice the silent depression that's going on. But we don't try to change it. We just try to blame someone else for it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, you can't...
I am. The reason I don't relate to it, because it's a lot more complex answer.
It is. It is.
Like, usually in life I found it's the simple answers that are the most accurate. That's why I can't relate with.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The economy crashes every 50 to 100 years.
Sure,
Approximately.
Like, look,
It's shorter than that, but
Like,
a huge crush.
we're Gen Z. So far we had like at least three, like once in a lifetime collapses. Yeah,
Yep.
right. Yeah,
Yep.
right.
But what I'm trying to say is, people fail to realize that we are living in a fucked economy.
Yeah.
They fail to realize. And most of the time, the big corporations are blaming the workers for not working hard enough to have the life they want.
Yeah.
Even though you can't, no matter how hard you work, as an everyday Joe,
Yeah.
you can't achieve
Yeah.
a sustainable
Yeah.
income. You can't.
Plus, we're the most overworked generation in, well, ages, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, since at least the Industrial Revolution. But the funny thing is that, the silent depression isn't just a bunch of numbers on the screen going
Oh,
up and down. it actually changes your culture as well. Because let's look back at our parents. A question I want to ask you is, in all the jobs you worked in your life, how many of them gave you a contract? Like how many, or basically gave you assurance that, okay, your position here is assured?
Of the 3 jobs I worked, 2.
Yeah.
Because one was in the United States, and the other one was here, but it was for a major chain.
Yeah.
So they were forced to.
Yeah.
Even though after reading the contracts,
Yeah.
they were a scam.
Yeah.
Like
I
even
gotta
after
say,
reading the contract.
of all the jobs I've held, only 2 gave me a contract, and it wasn't even one of those permanent. It was basically temporary work.
Yeah.
That's another difference that the silent depression has caused nowadays, especially in work culture. Like, this is actually even in the Great Depression, you receive a contract and your position there was secured by law.
Yeah.
Nowadays, good luck. Like, I haven't received an actual contract from any job I've worked until this point. Like, most of the contracts have been word of mouth.
Yeah.
Which is concerning, because when your economy is basically upheld by jobs that aren't even secure, that you're here now, you can be gone the next day, that's a very worrying situation to be in. It's a definitely concerning.
I mean,
to say the least.
one of the funniest sayings that I've heard so far is that employers are saying there are no people who want to work.
Yeah.
Well, there are people who want to work. We just want better.
Yeah, it's like you know, like
better standards.
You know what I like about that saying? That's very popular in Macedonia.
It
like,
is. It is.
Especially the last few years. But what happened recently, because nobody was applying for the jobs, employers actually had to raise the rates. And one of the replies that actually contributed to that is people started sarcastically replying, "Oh, employers don't want to pay higher wages nowadays." Like, oh, workers don't want to work. Okay, employers don't want to pay higher wages. We can be sarcastic as well.
I mean, the thing is, whenever you were changing jobs, have they asked you how much was your previous salary? Have they ever asked you?
I've been asked, what's your pay expectations, not your previous salary.
Well, honestly, there is a lot of employers who are going to ask you what was your previous pay.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to pay as little as possible for your work.
Yeah.
They're not trying to pay you for what you actually have to bring.
Yeah.
And to me, that just... I understand it from an employer standpoint. I do understand it.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a hard-working, collective, you need to appreciate them for who they are.
Yeah.
And there was I think it was either in the United States or in Canada, I'm not sure, a few years ago or maybe like a decade ago, the government paid every single citizen of the city
Oh yeah,
fixed amount.
in Canada.
Was it in Canada? Yeah.
Canada was.
And only 3% quit.
Yeah.
The rest still continued to work.
Yeah, and productivity even increased.
Yeah. So it's not that people don't want to work. We don't want to work in a economy that's failing. We don't want to contribute our whole life to something that's not going to give us a good life.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Video sent you, I don't know if you... Did I send you the work video?
I'm
A
not
couple
sure.
days ago.
I'm not sure.
I know I uploaded it on Facebook. Basically, an interesting point that video brought up, that I actually trying to implement in my life, is how humans worked throughout the course of history.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically one fast day, one slow day. You have a boom of energy and productivity with breaks in between, and then you have a slow day. And then fast day, slow day, and usually you rest for the weekends. And that's how your body is basically programmed. Because this is done by research by anthropologists and sociologists as well, analyzing prehistoric societies, even medieval societies, late medieval societies, who were basically agricultural societies. Most of them worked in this dynamic. Like, you have a fast day and a slow day, a fast day and a slow day. With the invention of clocks and artificial light, everything got messed up.
Yeah.
Because then you basically be forced to work an arbitrary, not arbitrary, a specific amount of time. Because previously Time is measured in activities. Like, okay, it takes this amount of time to do this, it takes this amount of time to do this. Nowadays, okay, you have 8 hours specifically you have to work. You have this until this time to do this, you have until this time to do this. And no wonder that nowadays, there's, you mentioned the pandemic earlier. Nowadays there's actually another pandemic of nervous and gastrointestinal diseases.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you know that, but doctors the world around are reporting that more and more young people are suffering from nervous-related conditions and digestive-related conditions.
Yeah.
Because that's where usually stress impacts the body the most.
Yeah.
And that's sad because even 50 years ago, the people who suffer from those kind of conditions were 60 years and above. Nowadays, the average age is down to 30 something, which is just concerning.
I mean, now that you mentioned the whole nervous thing, the stress thing, and the digestive thing, even in the Great Depression and years after that, most of the employers provided you a meal.
Yeah.
Just to let it out there.
Yeah.
Now you can't find a job that's going to provide you a meal.
Yeah.
You can't, like, during your work time.
Yeah. The most they do is like, you have a discount if you purchase from us. Blow it out your ass.
But do you have anything else to add?
If I had anything else, I'm gonna start rant and I'm gonna be very furious. So let's wrap it up.
Well then, let us know what you think. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.